I'm fortunate. My dad's actually a civil engineer. So
Why unfortunate?
most things that you work hard for will definitely pay you back. Nothing that comes easy will last. So if you put in the hours, you put in the extra effort, it will definitely reward you at the end of the day.
Do you have side hustles? Remember, your employers are watching. Or you prefer not to answer?
Outside this podcast, yeah. Outside the podcast, yeah.
And my guest today is Kunda Tembo from Zambia, and we're gonna be talking about engineering in Zambia. I've always been very interested in like how engineering is happening in other African countries, apart from South Africa. So if you check like the first episode that we did in the Engineering in Africa podcast, I had a chat with a good friend of mine from the DRC, and it was very interesting to get insights on what's happening in the DRC, how like from the engineering education side, how do you progress with your career within the DRC? So he progressed within the DRC and eventually came to SA and now is in Europe. So I wanted to like also talk to you and try to understand like what's the whole engineering space like in Zambia. And the whole reason for that is the focus of the Engineering in Africa podcast is to share career, like engineering career, like opportunities, career development, sort of things for engineers in Africa. And I literally mean everywhere in Africa. So we're not just going to focus on South Africa. So I really appreciate that you were able to make time to join us. And before we get started, can you tell us a bit about yourself and like where did you do your schooling, your engineering degree, what type of work you're doing, and yeah, just the brief summary of who Kunda is, and yeah, over to you.
Okay, cool. I'll go straight into it. Well, I did my engineering degree at the Copperbelt University, right here in Ketwe. Spent about 5 years at university, where I pursued a bachelor's degree in electrical/mechanical engineering, but with a bias on mechanical engineering. I have extensive experience in the Zambian mining industry. I think my first job after university was First Quantum. I worked for First Quantum Minerals in Solwezi. I think you should have heard of First Quantum Minerals. It's quite a famous big, mining entity. Yeah, I worked there for about 2 years. Lots of hands-on experience. I enjoyed my time there. I would like to call myself a baby of FQM because most of my fundamentals in engineering were attained there. I think after about 2 years, somewhere in 2017, I left to join Mopani Copper Mine, which was Glencore owned until about a few weeks ago. But yeah, I've been with Mopani Copper Mines for since 2017, about October 2017 to date. Yeah. And during my time, I have moved around at Mopani Copper Mines. I initially joined as a projects engineer. I was looking after mechanical projects. I was later transferred to the workshops where I looked after the heavy equipment repair workshop. Basically, I was in charge of the mobiles, the heavy equipment, and just making sure that they're in tip-top shape and putting in reliability programs to ensure that they perform for the mine. Until about a few months ago, I left the mobiles and was transferred to the power plant, where I'm basically looking after industrial compressors, underground ventilation fans, and various other turbo machinery. So in a nutshell, that's what I've been able to accomplish thus far in my career, Kulu.
Yeah. Tell me, it's very interesting because you're talking about the whole mining industry, and I see that you are a section engineer. So in South Africa, so we've got the Mineral Health and Safety Act, right? And then under the Mineral and Safety Act, there's the Mine Act regulations, where the what it states is that if you have a mine, then you need to appoint an engineer who is competent. Now, this engineer who's competent then becomes the section engineer and responsible for the engineering in the mine to make sure that everything. Do you guys, does it work the same for you guys?
Exactly. We have actually a very similar setup. For you to be a section engineer, upon being appointed, you actually carry a legal appointment
Yeah.
and what we call the Zambian mining regulations. So
Mm,
depending on your competence, be it electrical or mechanical, there are
yeah.
different sections that apply to your particular skill set. So for
Okay.
mechanical, there's a particular mining regulation that you have to be appointed under. For
Mm,
electrical as well, depending on your skill set. So basically, that legal appointment, in short, makes you liable should something go wrong in your section that involves safety and health of your of your subordinates.
mhm.
You will be held liable. So yeah, by and large, I think we have a similar setup. They might differ
Oh.
slightly, but I think the fundamentals are the same.
And then tell me, to be now this section engineer appointed, the legal appointment, do you have to have okay, in our case, you have to go write the government certificate of competency. I mean, mines for mechanical, if you're going to be mechanical, and then if you're electrical, for you write for electrical, and then you can only be appointed, or you can only get the legal appointment once you have obtained that certificate of competency. Do you also have something like that?
We have something similar in Zambia. We have what we call the Engineering Institute of Zambia,
Mm-hmm.
which also has an annex which is referred to as the Engineering Registration Board.
Okay.
So for you to carry those legal appointments and be appointed at my level, you will need to have at least minimum, you need to be a professional engineer under the Engineering Institute of Zambia. And you also need to be a registered engineer under the Engineers Registration Board of Zambia. So
Oh,
you
okay.
definitely have to have a few certifications in place.
Or and you guys don't write like an exam. So like in our case, you have to write the plant engineering exam and the legal knowledge exam. You don't write any exams to get that certification.
No, we don't write any exams, but you don't write any exams, but your experience is vetted before you
Mm,
are given the certification. They need
okay.
to look at your paper, your qualifications. They also need to look at the level of experience you've attained,
Okay.
and they do sit periodically in the year. Then they'll look at your paperwork. If they need to follow up with your references, they'll
Yeah.
need to make a few phone calls just to make sure that the person they're certifying is worth a salt. Yeah.
I see, I see. And then okay, so obviously it works slightly different from us. And now let's talk about the whole engineering. So you mostly in the mining side of the whole engineering. And like what are like sort of the success factors for you to, because now we sort of now in this legal space, so we're saying, okay, I can already pick up that, okay, for the legal appointment you're going to need a bit of experience and then register with the Zambian Engineering Association. But what other success factors like have you like identified with your career to say, okay, I'm sitting here, I'm a I don't know, fourth year student or whatever, and I'm about to go into the working environment as a mechanical or electrical. What would be like in the Zambian context? What would be the things that I need to work on from the first year of working to the fifth year of working in order for me to actually be, like succeed in the whole engineering fraternity of Zambia?
That's a good question, Kulu.
Mm,
I think for me the fundamentals are very important.
mm,
I think as a young engineer, you need to make sure as you enter industry, you humble yourself and you should be willing to learn. There's a tendency by some engineers once they complete school or about to complete school, they think they pretty much know everything that's there to know.
Mm.
So I think it's important that you get your fundamentals right. You need to know the simple things. You need to know that your spanners. You need to know your verniers. You need to know those basic tools that will help you achieve the basic principles of engineering.
Mm.
And also find time to interact with the artisans, the foremen,
Yeah.
because they're the guys that know the job. And for you to make their job easier and improve the work processes, you need to understand their work. And
Yeah.
I think you need to get, for lack of a better term, you need to get down and get dirty so
Mm.
that you appreciate the work. But
Mm.
also, technology is evolving, and you need to get abreast with what's changing in the world. You need to appraise yourself with the latest software, the latest technology, and you need to spend a lot of time reading a lot, and also on the internet, seeing what's trending, because what you might have learned at school 5 years ago does not necessarily
Yeah.
apply now. So
Yeah.
I think it's important being open-minded so that you're able to apply yourself.
Yeah. Now tell me say okay, so that's the junior engineers. Make sure that you understand your standards, make sure that you get your hands dirty and so forth. Now and like make sure that you work with the artisans and the plant guys. So the structure that we have in most industries, whether it's factory or mining in South Africa, is we've got the engineer. All right, so where the engineers will normally do an engineering program, and then you've got the technicians who normally will go like the national diploma route, and you've got the artisans who just do the specific trade. So basically, from what I'm picking up with what you're saying, that's sort of the same structure that you guys also have there.
Yeah, pretty much. So it's pretty
Yeah.
much the same thing. You've got your tradesman, who in our case is a craftsperson.
Mm.
You've got your technicians, who are diploma level,
Yeah.
and obviously you've got the engineer who's got the bachelor's degree. Yeah, it's pretty much the
Yeah.
same. Yeah.
Yeah. And then with if we look at the whole engineering space in Zambia, like are they, because like right now, in our case there's always been this drive to say, well, there's not enough artisans, and there's not enough engineers, and so they're busy pushing to get more people to do either like trades or engineering. How is it like for you guys? Like in terms of skills, do you have enough engineers in your industry, and enough tradespersons?
No, I think speaking for Zambia, I think we have more than enough skilled people, be it at engineer level,
Yeah.
technician, and artisan. We're
Yeah.
actually exporting a lot of people outside. Yeah.
Yeah. So the competition is actually, how's the competition like right now in your case? How easy is it to secure a good job as a as a person with the mechanical engineering and your accolades, where you've got your registered professional engineer and so forth? Like, how easy is it to secure a good job? And by good job, I mean a good paying job, where you will live beyond the average life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, tricky question. Okay, the Zambian economy is always because of COVID and whatnot. So definitely employment opportunities are not so good right now. But
Yeah.
I think as you get your experience, as you go on, you get your paperwork, you get your competency levels right, the opportunities do open up.
Yeah.
Obviously, they might not be as many as they are maybe in South Africa or elsewhere in the world,
Hmm.
but we do get a few opportunities to get something really nice, something that you'll be comfortable with. But
Yeah.
I can't say we are, comparatively speaking, like South Africa. No, the opportunities are less, but
Yeah.
the opportunities are there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if I wanna move that side, I've got tough competition. Eh? Let's say I wanna come to Zambia. I wanna practice that side as a engineer. The competition is quite tough, I would think.
If you're coming in as an expatriate and you have skills that perhaps are not locally available here. You might have certain experience that we won't find here in Zambia. Then
Yeah.
maybe you will stand a better advantage. Yeah, and you should be able to get something.
Yeah. And then you spoke about the engineering, the what you call the Zambia, I think it's called the Zambia Engineering Associate. Is it association or the the juristic body or the governing body for
Or the
engineers
Engineering Institute of Zambia.
or Engineering Institute of Zambia? How active are they in terms of
The
number
Engineering
one?
Institution of Zambia.
Yes, the Engineering
Yeah.
Institution of Zambia, Like, how active are they in terms of like from grassroots levels to get kids like from high school to consider engineering as a career, and also from like varsity level, like providing support. Are they very active, or they are more focused on like what can I say, administering the registration of engineers and so forth?
Skipping a bit, but let me see if I got you right. I think the engineering is in high school. We have what we call. I did get it. Yeah, we have what we call the JETS clubs in high schools, which is basically it's an acronym that stands for junior junior engineers, technicians, and scientists.
Okay.
So we have the JETS clubs in schools, and the Engineering Institution of Zambia is quite active in supporting that to ensure that we have a lot of our pupils joining STEM careers and trying to increase the number of people that are taking part in engineering, especially the girl child and things like that. So they do try their level best, and even in high school, they're quite active. In university as well, because we have what we call university. You have, for example, when I was at the CBU, we had a president for the EIZ Copperbelt University chapter, and there's a similar setup in other universities as well. So they are quite active just to ensure that they support pupils and students as they get into the industry.
Yeah. How are you finding your work life? Like, how is it like being an engineer in Zambia? Do you are you in the higher echelons of social lives, or as engineers you sort of like a middle class to lower? Like, how are you finding your, like, firstly from the work point of view and from the social life point of view? So let's start with the work. Like, how is it like? Are you enjoying it? Do you feel like what you call whatever you learned at varsity, you using it? Because I think one of the biggest things that I've picked up, because I've mentored like a lot of junior engineers in South Africa, and one of the thing that keeps coming up is this sense of like direction and not really enjoying what you call the early days of practicing or learning this engineering industry. So in hindsight, you with all these years, how are you finding it? And was it also difficult for you when you were still a junior, what you call a junior engineer, to actually, like, I don't know, like determine what your career development is going to look like? Also having like a plan on, okay, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. So how's that whole experience for you?
Well, starting out is always tricky. I think the key there is mentorship. I think that's where the challenge is. So I think as a young engineer, you need to find someone to mentor you early in your career, so that you can find yourself going on the right path. To be honest, it's never easy starting out, but once you find your feet and you find someone who's willing to share their experiences with you, I think it makes things easier.
Yeah. And then for you, did you have it difficult when you were still like a junior? And did you get mentors, and like what was your strategy just to like try to understand your career development and what exactly are you gonna do moving forward?
Yeah, like I said, it was challenging at first because obviously, like mechanical engineering is wide. Like if you heard me right in terms of my level of experience, I have both fixed plant projects and mobile plant experience. So the biggest challenge is where to settle in the industry, where to find your niche. So I think that's where the biggest challenge is. How do you settle which particular field of your mechanical engineering are you going to settle into? So that's where the mentorship comes in. You need to find someone to say, okay, I think in the next 5-7 years, I want to be like that guy. Then you start interacting with them. What do I need to do to be like you?
Perfect.
Do I need to get my certifications in order? Do I need to get a bit more of experience in this particular area? And I think that's where the initial decision comes in now, where you need to be very careful with what particular job you start off with if you're in a position to choose, because you might end up going into something that perhaps is not your interest, and then along the way you get frustrated and you're not able to perform. So I think that's where you really need to put your basis right, and like I said, lots of mentorship.
Yeah. Do you guys because we with one of my other colleagues, we were talking about this whole notion of role models, that a lot of engineers, at least in our case, I would like to hear on, like, from a Zambia point of view, that there's not a lot of role models, because in our situation, we had a phase where there was like this transition from, especially around 94, this transition from apartheid to the democratic government, where there was a point in time where there was not a lot of engineers being produced, and you had all these engineers which were produced before we got our democracy, right? And then there's this transition space where there's not a lot of engineers produced, and then now we are in this phase where there's like thousands and thousands of engineers coming into the industry, like from school to the varsity to the workplace. There's like a lot of them coming in now. A lot of this huge young group, they don't really have a lot of role models to say, okay, here's a person who's been doing this thing for the past 10 to 20 years or whatever, and I would want to be one day like him. Do you guys have a lot of role models in like your space? Like, do you have, like, right now, you sitting there, do you have like 5 or 10 people you're looking at and you're like, okay, I want to be that sort of engineer in the coming years?
No, I think 5 or 10 might be a high number, but I definitely have one or two. I definitely have one or two guys I'm looking at. But the key is no, it's not the industry is not saturated with what I would say role models. But as a young engineer, it's up to you to look for these people, because they are there. That's why you have platforms like LinkedIn. You need to be very pragmatic about how you use these things. You need to go there, find someone, send them a connection request, and there are a few guys that will be willing to share their experience with you and advise you accordingly. So I think the onus is on the young engineer to just take the first step and use the right platform. Otherwise, there are a few people that are there and very much willing to assist.
That's correct. Yeah. And how the LinkedIn in Zambia, is it as big as it is for us here in SA? Like, how big is LinkedIn? Like, do you have a lot of professionals joining LinkedIn?
Yeah, we have quite a number of Zambians on LinkedIn, and I don't know, comparatively speaking to South Africa, but yeah, it's an application and software that's quite common, especially among the professionals, and it's going on well.
Yeah. So the next part of what I wanna sort of pick your brain on now. I think also with you right now, you have a choice to now say, okay, as an engineer, am I going to stick with the technical route and become a specialist, become this very technical person, or the other route is, well, I want to move, or you want to move more into management and then executive level, so more of a business type of path. And there's also now this path that some people are also considering, which is on the entrepreneurial side of things. Like, what's your plan, or how are you looking at your future? Are you looking at staying technical management, or going the entrepreneur route? And from your plan, how would you then, because there's a lot of junior guys who are sitting having those sort of thoughts, because they're saying, well, where I'm standing, I don't know whether I want to stay in design, or in design maintenance, like very pure technical, or I want to move into management and then one day be a CEO, or just forget about everything, start a business, and be entrepreneurial, or bloody hell, move into banking or something like that. So what's your plan, or what are your thoughts? Like, do you want to stay technical for a very long time, or you want to change? And if you want to change into like the other, like management or entrepreneurship, or move to banking or whatever, like what would be like the driving factors in your situation and point of view?
Okay. Yeah, I'm a very passionate engineer, so obviously I would like to rise in my career and
Mm,
obviously reach management level. But we can't all reach that level. You can only have so many CEOs, so many
mm,
managers. So ultimately, you need to be ambitious, but you need to be realistic. So
yeah.
the key is also to have. I think entrepreneurship is the way to go.
Hmm.
In Zambia, we like to call it the side hustle. You should always have one or two things going on the side.
Mm.
And if your side hustle becomes bigger than your main hustle, and
Mm.
then maybe it's time to make your side hustle
Your
the
main
main hustle.
hustle.
So yeah, I
Yeah.
think yeah. So I think we definitely career-wise, that's the way to go. See how it takes you, apply yourself. But
Mm,
it's also important to have a fallback plan, and that's where
mm.
entrepreneurship comes in, and see how you go with that. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have side hustles? Remember, your employers are watching. Or you prefer not to answer.
Outside this podcast, yeah. Outside the podcast,
No, I got you, man. Yeah, so yeah, because I think, yeah, I'm also like a passionate engineer, so I try to, even if, let's say, because I moved into management, but stayed in the management of technical. I don't know if you understand what I mean. Like, I'm in management, but I'm managing technical people. So yeah, I've always been passionate, and I never wanted to consider like moving to banking or whatever. Would you move to like a completely different industry, like banking or something like that? Or you're not a sellout?
yeah. No, I think if no, I'm not a sellout here, but definitely if I move, it would definitely be engineering related because I'm
Yeah,
big on applying myself. Even the entrepreneurship thing has to. I feel as engineers we've got a lot to offer the world.
yeah.
Even as entrepreneurs, I think it's important that we use our skills
Mm.
to better the world. But as you better the world, try and make some money doing that as well.
Yeah, that's right. Do you guys, your like when it comes to, because now I see it's sort of going to the entrepreneurship type of things. Uh, um, in Zambia, do you also have a situation where like a lot of the engineering equipment and the engineering products, like for example, your motors and your pumps and all these big equipment is manufactured outside of Zambia, or do you have a very strong like localization in terms of manufacturing engineering equipment and so forth?
Okay. No, our local industry is not as robust as obviously South Africa, but we are growing. We have over the years have a few industries that have popped up that
Mm,
that are into manufacturing,
mm, mm,
into into overhauls, into refurbishments.
Yeah.
So we are growing slowly.
Mm.
But there's a lot of room
Mm.
for companies to set up and do a lot of manufacturing here,
Yeah.
because we have a lot of raw materials. But the
Mm.
question is just making sure that we're able to produce those final products and make some value addition from our local minerals.
Okay. All right. No, that's interesting, man. Now in closing, since this whole podcast is you'll notice that the whole theme is about like sharing knowledge for the junior guys up and coming and so forth. What advice, like I'm a student in Zambia right now, doing my high school or whatever, like, and I'm still thinking about a career, and I might be going the engineering. What advice would you like give that kid, like sitting there and confused, not sure whether they should go this engineering route? What advice would you give them in trying to make that decision?
Yeah, I think one is, are they passionate about
Mhm.
engineering? They need to ask themselves why why do they want to do engineering?
Mm.
Some of us growing up were always intrigued by things like changing a bulb. You'd assist your dad change a bulb. I mean, fix socket outlet, and
Mm.
it's in hindsight then you realize that actually engineering was inculcated from a very young age.
Mm.
I'm fortunate. My dad's actually a civil engineer, so
Why unfortunate?
engineering. I said sorry. I'm fortunate. Sorry, I meant to
Oh,
say fortunate.
fortunate. I thought you were shooting shots on the civil guys.
No, no, no. I mean it in a good way. So
Okay, cool.
basically,
Yeah.
you need to make sure that you have a passion for
Yeah.
that industry. It's just not a question of saying I'm good in maths, I'm good in the sciences, so I'm going to do engineering.
Mm.
That might not be enough to get you through the industry. There must be
Yeah.
other things that will keep you there, and
Yeah.
you also need to be open-minded.
Mm.
I think you also need to look at what do I want to leave in the world?
Mm.
What do I want to do for Zambia in engineering?
Yeah.
Maybe there are a few things that you're not happy with. There are a few things, maybe you want to set up a manufacturing plant. I think those are the kind of decisions that should, the kind of thoughts that should determine whether or not you go for a career in
Mm.
engineering. If you're not having those kind of thoughts, I think maybe you should be able to look at something else. Maybe
Yeah. In my the second part of my first year doing my engineering studies, I like every week I was quitting this thing, like nah, I can't do this anymore. I like it's just too much. I'm a student right now, sitting, like, because the whole engineering syllabus, especially mechanical, is just insane. I'm a student right
it's
now.
something.
I'm about to give up. What are you saying to me?
Yeah, well, I'm telling you, no, hang in there. You
Yeah.
you know why you chose what you chose, and eh, I always tell people, everything, most things that you work hard for will definitely pay you back. Nothing that
Mm,
comes easy will last. So if you put in the hours, you put in the extra effort, it will
mm.
definitely reward you at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So just just hang in there, hang in there. We've been there, all of us, and ask your seniors; they'll tell you they never had it easy as well.
Yeah.
So hang in there.
Yeah. How many times did you think about quitting during varsity days, or you lost count?
A couple of times, you find you write a few tests and the results are not adding up. Then you'll be like, no, 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 this is not working out. You're
Yeah.
going through some material, you're
Yeah.
studying, it's not making sense. You're like, am I in the right place?
Yeah. And I
But
got you.
eventually, it works out in the end. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Fast forward, and this is the last point for our discussion. Your thoughts and on so for there's this discussion that I've been like I've heard with a couple of people, which is around, okay, I'm a South African engineer, but I need to think beyond South Africa and try to, see, can I go get a like a job in like Europe or the US or whatever. And for South Africans, I think some South Africans, they don't even think about, like, okay, maybe I must go practice in Zambia or whatever. What are your thoughts with going beyond, like you being just in Zambia and pursuing, other opportunities outside of Zambia? So, like, what are your thoughts on that? And yeah, and what would you advise now we're looking at an engineer with 5 years experience, and they're having those thoughts to say, you know what, yeah, maybe I'm not getting the sort of opportunities or exposure that I want in my country. Maybe I should just go out. So, what are your thoughts of going outside of your country to go practice in another country, whether it's South Africa or Europe? And what would you advise that engineer sitting there and having those debates in their head?
No, I would encourage them to explore their inquisitiveness, because you see, we live in a global village now, Nkulu.
Yeah.
When you go out, you definitely learn new tricks, things that you didn't know about. For me, I'm big on exploring the world, because that will increase my knowledge. Obviously, I'm one person who is passionate about my country. If I do go out, I'll definitely come back. I'm open to explore new areas and learn from other engineers across the globe and see how they're working, but also share my experiences, because ultimately, looking at the amount of time we have been in industry, we definitely have a few things to share as well. So yeah, explore the world and learn from other people. It's extremely important.
Yeah. And then just go
You
out
might find
there.
that you've been doing something wrong for the past 8 years.
Wrong things done right. Right, yeah. So yeah, man, thank you very much for joining
Yeah.
this episode. And I'm really, hoping that a kid, a student, a junior engineer in Zambia will be listening to this, and they will have ideas. And because it's more of a mentorship, sort of, it's one form of mentorship, you know what I mean? Listening to you giving this advice, it's a form of mentorship. And I'm hoping that the kids there, the students, and the junior guys in Zambia will listen to this. And I'm hoping that guys in SA can also, like, consider Zambia as a career location, to say, well, yeah, let's see, because they've got all these natural resources. From what you said, or what I've picked up, in terms of the manufacturing space, it's growing. The beneficiation of your raw materials is slowly growing. So the entrepreneurial guys but they should consider, a life beyond South Africa, and vice versa. Guys in Zambia should be thinking life beyond, what you call Zambia, you know what I mean? So thank you very much for making time to chat with me. And let's see how we can take this engineering, this engineering industry and career forward, and inspire more people to join us in this engineering space, and inspire more people to actually succeed in this engineering space. Now, before we close, any last thoughts from yourself?
I think it's been a pleasure to be on this platform, Nkulu. I've enjoyed the chat, and like you said, we hope we've been able to inspire a young engineer or a young pupil trying to pursue a career in engineering. But also, I think it's nice sharing thoughts from different aspects, like you being in South Africa, me being in Zambia. So I think it's been a good platform to exchange ideas. Yeah. So let's make a date again and see how we can take our careers forward.
Yeah, definitely. We'll chat again end of this year, and just to take stock and if there's any changes and whatever. Thank you very much, and we'll chat on what you call offline and with other things. And yes, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. And that was the final the episode with Kunda from Zambia. And yeah, thank you for listening. And yeah, see you on the next episode.